What could you say? Watch a movie, you watch a movie. What are these guys, you know? Look at that guy, look at that guy. This is the Abel Ferrara podcast commentary for our YouTube video about.
I didn't listen to the commentary. Sorry, I didn't get.
No,
Sorry,
no.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So, welcome to Septic Shock Road Trip.
Oh no, we're on the train, right? We're still on the train.
And I'm attacking you at the bus stop with my drill.
Oh, okay.
For this bonus, we couldn't leave New York without talking Driller Killer. It just occurred to me because when we were talking Headless Eyes before, Driller Killer came up, shot around Union Square, I believe, in Manhattan, and I was like, "Oh man, yeah, we can't leave Manhattan without talking Driller Killer." So, had you not seen Driller Killer before?
No, never.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So, yes, Driller Killer, and not Abel Ferrara's directorial debut, because he did make a few things, including a porno film called 9 Lives of a Wet Pussy before this one. But this is the film that, he crossed over with. This is the one that became, especially in the UK.
Was that one guy in it where he's the guy who kept going, "I want to see somebody's pussy"? That one?
No, I don't think he was in it, no.
Oh, okay.
You mean the member of Tony Coca-Cola and the Roosters?
And the Roosters, yeah.
Great band name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Driller Killer. So this film should be played loud, as the opening credit has it. Fairly simple. This stars director Abel Ferrara. He didn't write it. Written by his longtime collaborator Nicholas St. John. This was released in 1979. Filmed around 77, 78 around Union Square. Real footage of bums and homeless people as well around that area. And this is a film about an artist as played by Abel Ferrara under the pseudonym Jimmy Lane. Although occasionally he looked more to me like a long-haired, bearded Ren Hoik from Ren and Stimpy with his bulging eyes. Yeah, pretty much. There's no Stimpy in this film already, I suppose. His girlfriend couldn't be Stimpy. Or two girlfriends or non-girlfriends.
Hey, Ren!
Basically, he lives with, that was very good. He lives with two women, Carolyn Mans and Baby Day. And he's like a, boho, soho artist, right? And with bills to pay. And an art dealer who doesn't like his art anymore and who also may be in need of some favors, I guess, party favors to get himself a gallery showing or something like that. It's intimated. And yes, so Jimmy Lane gets more and more frustrated. A punk band called Tony Coca-Cola and the Roosters move in next door and play their very bad music all day long. They seem to just play the riff from Roadrunner actually over and over again. They're not very good.
I was curious if you actually liked that.
No, I'm not a fan of it. Why did you?
No.
This is D.A. Metrov as well, who plays Tony Coca-Cola, whose flat this was actually filmed in. I always thought it was actually filmed in Abel Ferrara's place, but I think Abel Ferrara later lived in this flat where they filmed it. At the time, at the time it was D.A. Metrov's flat. And so they drive him further crazy, further crazy. Neither is really grammatically. Anyway, he goes a bit mad. And then he buys a Porter pack for his electric drill, and he takes out his frustrations on the Bowery bums, right? He goes out with his drill and drills them to death, riding some kind of like, he's almost like a rodeo horse, isn't he? He's on one, like a bronco, drills one right in there. Actually, that the reason it became infamous, it became a video nasty in the UK, is because that picture, the still from him drilling the guy in the head is on the video. And that is actually a really good effect. Like for
I have to agree with you. Like I was like, how did they do that? I still don't know how he did that. So
rather impressive. And Yeah.
Did he say on the commentary how he did it?
Oh, you wouldn't understand because it'd be unintelligible. I've now listened to 2 separate Thriller Killer tracks for.
Okay.
So there's a newer one for the Blu-ray with his the guy who wrote the book about him, Abel Ferrara, The Moral Vision, a guy called Brad Stevens, and he kind of he tries to get some sense out of. Case in point, here we go. There's a scene where he's with Carolyn Mans in a taxi, right, and they're making out or whatever, and Brad Stevens is trying to ask a serious question like, can you remember where this was filmed or something like that? And Abel Ferrara, I can remember what those tits felt like, I'll tell you that. Like, so there's this one, and there's an even earlier DVD commentary Abel Ferrara did for Thriller Killer, which is just fantastic. He sounds, how can I, very heavily medicated, let's put it that way.
Okay.
He has cleaned up his
he is as a person is not far off from this character, except with the
not at all. It's a documentary
taking away just the actual murder.
yeah, exactly. No, awesome. Abel Ferrara. Any chance you get a chance to listen to an Abel Ferrara commentary track, go for it, because they're always hugely entertaining. Sometimes more than the films as well.
Right. Yeah.
But so that's that. Yeah, so that's kind of it. It's kind of a. Well, I suppose I'll go first on this one, just because I've seen this film a number of times. Of course, it was video nasty, so it was on the video. So it was a highly sought after item in my teenage years.
Right.
And then eventually, I think I originally saw. I can't remember if I saw a bootleg video first, or because I definitely saw it in a theater. They could show it in a theater. They showed it in a theater in London, and I went to a screening of it there, and I've seen it a few times since on video, and I think this version is ever so slightly longer than any other version I've seen. It's got these kind of inserts of blimps and things and that weren't in it before. But seeing it this time for the third, fourth, fifth, I can't remember time, it kind of really made sense to me as like not in any way, shape, or form a horror film, really. It's an arty film, right? It's an art film. It's Abel Ferrara makes an art film, but is clever enough to throw some gore and some tits in. There's like a lesbian making out scene in the shower, exploitable. But basically, it's he makes an Abel Ferrara film, throws in a few exploitable elements, and if you approach it on that level, then I think it's kind of quite an interesting time capsule of a time and place, right? And I'd rather enjoy, and I've seen it a few times now, and I think I could watch it again. But this time it just clicked into place, because in the past I've always had this feeling like I like it, but I'm not quite sure if it doesn't really work at a horror film. But then if you just turn off the horror film part and don't expect it to be a horror film, despite it being Thriller Killer, then it makes a hell of a lot more sense, right? It's an art movie masquerading as a kind of gore film, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get the impression that, I mean, at least I got the impression that some of the killings aren't even real, that they're in his head, right?
Yeah, I got that this time around as well.
Yeah. So that's what I got, was that. So I was kind of approaching it, and I actually got it that time as my first watch, was that I thought it was more of like a descent into madness. It's like a drama, artistic view of some guy who's sort of, slowly going insane. And then he sort of has this sort of idea of killing, but you don't really sure if they're really real. I mean, they kind of come across as real, but I actually didn't think. I was like, well, maybe these are just happening in his head, and he's just sort of imagining, sort of
making it a kind of a American Psycho precursor as well.
Yeah, exactly. American Psycho. Or there was another movie that was similar to that. What was I feel like there was another movie we saw which had similar idea, which is, I could be wrong, but wasn't that one where he had no, that's
I was going to say the further link to American Psycho as well, I suppose, is the fact that he's killing people below his station in life.
Right. Yeah.
He's deliberately he's punching down, right? That he's
punching down, right? Yeah. So yeah.
Differently from American Psycho, I mean, he's just on the edge of becoming a bum himself, I suppose, and getting thrown. So he's reinforcing that he's one strata higher. I suppose American Psycho, he's not in danger of being out in the streets, but he's certainly not he feels American Psycho kind of feels like he's not quite in his world. He's the loser. He can't get that table at Dorsey's or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Or his.
Or I think in American Psycho, he's using it to move up, I think, to some degree. I think, it's sort of like he sees the people that he thinks are above him, and then he tries to kill them, so that he kills like Jared Leto's character and some of that, and that feeling that, or he imagines he does, because I think he thinks that Jared Leto is higher than him.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose I'm thinking more of the earlier scenes in American Psycho.
Right, yeah.
Where he kills the homeless guy in his dog. And again, I forget what's actually in, because the American Psycho book is so different from the film.
It's different, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it was an okay watch. I wouldn't say I really enjoyed it that much. This movie, it was a bit of a slog for me. They really could have taken out 10 to 20 minutes of music. It was there's a big chunk of this movie it felt like a concert film, and it was almost like an excuse for Tony Coca-Cola and the Roosters to, hey, film my band so we can get some publicity for my band, man. It was, and then they threw him in there as like an actor, and the guy couldn't act at all when he's doing his portrait and stuff. And anyway, it was, yeah.
But there's nothing like hearing them in a club, Ron. That's the line.
I guess so, yeah.
After he's been hearing them endlessly for hours, she says, there's nothing like hearing them in a club.
It could be true, yeah, that's good. So, but yeah, I was sort of on his side where I mean, it was just, there's a lot of music. Like, it was like I don't know, I even the point at the beginning, like, this movie should be played loud and all that kind of stuff. It felt like it was almost like an ad for their band. Like, I don't know, did he have some sort of was he like their manager or something? So I was like, I don't know why there's so much music in this, right?
I don't know. I suppose is it maybe trying to put you in his headspace of just hearing this droning crap like all the time, right?
But it did. I would say for it that it really did feel like it felt really taken out of like Times Square. Like, it felt like I could be watching this on 42nd Street, or like it really, like, I felt it was really much a product of its time, and it really felt like a slice of life from that time and that era and that place, right? Like, if you're looking for a movie that's in Manhattan in the early 70s, it that's definitely felt like I was there. It definitely felt like,
I think if Abel Ferrara's kind of goal was, on the one hand, to make a movie that he wanted to make, but also get it to play on 42nd Street, he kind of somehow managed to get away with it and deliver it, right? But it's just about it's just about kind of grotty enough to appeal to, but also it's something else entirely as well, right?
Right.
It's got kind of European feel to it or something, right?
Right. Yeah.
It felt very much more like an European film. Or if it was an American film, it would be something like a Cassavetes film or something like that.
Right. Or, I'm not as familiar with what is his name? Abe Ferrara?
Abel Ferrara, yeah.
Abel. Right. So is he usually make artsy movies?
Oh yeah, I suppose he's most famous now for Bad Lieutenant, right? That would be his big
Which one?
Bad Lieutenant with Harvey Keitel.
Oh yeah. I guess So
right. And after this, he made Miss 45, and he's still making films, and he's been quite prolific. I haven't seen a few of his last. The last one I saw was that film Welcome to New York with Gerard Depardieu, which was quite interesting. It wasn't great, but it was quite interesting. And he's always, even his poorer films, and he has made some poor films. They're all pretty interesting, and the guy's interesting. I mean,
right.
Famously in the past few years, there's a few documentaries about him you can see as well, and he's such a, he wakes up at midnight or something, and his day begins, and he goes out on the streets, and even when he's just like, he's a guy you would enjoy becoming part of his entourage, I think, and following him around being a nutcase. But he's cleaned up his act. He lives in Italy now. But he's cleaned up his act. I don't think he does drugs. He doesn't drink anymore. I think the damage he's probably done is permanent. But so it's interesting to see what he's going to make now that he's kind of clean. Be interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing that suffered for me was that he's not a very good actor. So I think that he had some good ideas here. I think I mean, I read a review online that for this movie that I thought I kind of agreed with, which is that, you know, later movies he got like Harvey Keitel and those kind of things.
Right.
If Harvey Keitel was in this movie, I think it would be a better movie. You know what I mean? I think overall, I think you would just, you know, if you have like an actor with a little bit more weight, I just found him a little
There'd
bit
be a lot more
difficult to
naked
watch.
sobbing in it.
What's that?
There'd be a lot more naked sobbing in it, for sure.
Yeah, there'd be a lot more penis, I think, right? So, but yeah, but
Can I get my cock out? And no, Harvey, keep it in your pants. To be fair, I think.
Sorry, did you ever tell you that my Harvey Keitel, like the story that I heard about this other comedian was telling a story. Did I tell you about this? Other comedian was doing.
This is the story I told you about Harvey Keitel, because I don't know, these things go around. But go ahead.
No. It's this one other comedian. His name is escaping me right now, but he used to be on Saturday Night Live, and he was doing he was emceeing Robert De Niro's birthday party, okay. And so he goes to do, and he tells the story about how he just tanks this birthday party. It was just like the worst job he's ever had. He just does terribly, just totally bombs.
Was it supposed to be like a roast, or?
Well, he turned it into a bit of a roast, and so in at the party, there's like like Billy Crystal and Whoopi Goldberg and Robin Williams and Harvey Keitel and stuff, and he's like starts doing roast stuff, and he says to Harvey, goes, Harvey Keitel, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in an unwatchable independent movie? So I realized that was
right.
Anyway, never mind. Just cut that.
There's the other famous Harvey Keitel story. Again, I don't know if this is true, or if it's apocryphal, or if I've even told this on the podcast before. But he was part of the original cast of Eyes Wide Shut, right? Before Kubrick reshot everything with Tom.
Oh, really?
So
was he the Tom Cruise character?
I can't remember. But apparently Nicole Kidman was on board. I think Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were maybe always on board. But I think they reshot. I know Jennifer Jason Leigh was in it originally as well, but for whatever reason they went back and they reshot a lot of it with new people. And apparently he was in the original cast. And the story goes that apparently there was a scene where Nicole Kidman's in a scene and Harvey Keitel is behind her, and he's supposed to be furiously masturbating while the scene is going on and she's telling a story or something or doing her dialogue. Of course, Harvey Keitel is furiously masturbating and does come in Nicole Kidman's hair. Apparently, that's the way the story goes. Obviously, that would be less amusing in today's environment.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, again, I don't know if there's any validity. It's one of those stories you kind of hope that's true, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, enough making up things about Harvey. Sorry, anyway. Harvey, if you're listening and it's wrong, you are welcome to come and sob nakedly in front of me to make up for it.
You can do, not me, him, only him.
Anyway, Clive.
Anyway, let's wrap this up. Anything else about Driller Killer you want to mention?
Well, no, I was going to say that he's in it basically for pure budgetary reasons, right? He doesn't.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah,
and I think he's good enough for this film. Like, his performance fits the film. I mean, like you said, I don't think he's out and out terrible. He's just not that good. And I think that's the whole film in a nutshell, is interesting, but not that great. And
not that great, yeah.
Yeah, so I think his performance fits the film. And yeah, it's a film almost beyond criticism in a little way. Like it is what it is. And it probably is what it's supposed to be as well. Like, I don't think it's supposed to be anything else. And I find it interesting. The footage of the bums and stuff is kind of interesting to see in the area. And yeah, like you said, it does feel, especially all the stuff with like the groupies and the toilet and all that's very grungy and grotty.
Yeah.
Like not a play. You don't want to be part of Tony Coca-Cola and the Roosters' entourage, do you? Like, it's just desperate and horrible, and they seem to be enjoying, but
they're having a good time. Good for them.
Yeah, so that's really cool. But I'm glad we did it, because I would have felt bad if we didn't. So we're off. We're out of Manhattan.
Oh, and okay. Where to next? New Jersey?
Hang on. If you give me...
Are you going upstate New York? We're going upstate, you said?
or back to Island, maybe.
Island.
Shits and giggles. No, hang on. I do have fuck, that's on the
Bunkers.
it'll be a surprise, but we're still in New York, though.
Okay, upstate New York, probably.
No, we've been there. Remember, we came
Oh,
down.
have we?
Yeah.
Okay, downstate. Okay.
We might be going to.
Anyway,
what's Coney Island in?
I don't know.
Okay, because we're going to Coney Island soon. So I think we're going via.
It's in New York too. It's in New York. It's part of New York. It's off New York.
Yeah, but it's part of one of the boroughs. Coney Island is in one of the boroughs. So I think we're going to that boroughs.
Oh, I see.
And we're going specifically to Coney Island for a Coney Island double bill.
I see.
We're never getting out of this city, man.
Yeah, really. Lots of movies here.
Sorry, I was blindsided by a weird message on my phone. Yeah. Anyway, so smooth.
Anyway, nice ending.
Yes. Until next time. Bye bye.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Okay, I want everybody settle down now. We got some new we're gonna show you, man. So I'll knock you dead when we come upside your head. You get ready?